Well, folks, my next guest is the real deal when it comes to achieving the American dream. In 1983, Don Peebles founded the Peebles Corporation. It's a national real estate investment and development company. They specialize in residential, hospitality, retail, and mixed-use commercial properties. The company's portfolio of active and completed deployments include 10 million square feet and $8 billion. The Peebles Corporation founder, chairman, CEO, Don Peebles joins me now. Don, you know, I read somewhere where your grandfather was a doorman at the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel in Washington, D.C. How much did that influence where you are today?
My grandfather had a tremendous influence on me. And it reminded me, one, of two things. One, that Black Americans were opening doors for other people, but economic opportunities were not being opened for them. But my grandfather was an optimist and believed in access to the American dream and felt that his kids, my mother, would do better and that his grandkids would have access to the American dream. And so he prepared me for the belief that I could do the things that I've accomplished and that only could I do them in this country.
Don, you just touched on something that bothers me so much, and I talked a little bit about this earlier with Jack Brewer. This overarching message that we can't do it, that everyone is against us, that there's 70 million people who voted for the other guy and they don't like you. I think it's taken a toll on us. I really do. When I go to schools and I talk to kids in high school and they're graduating in a week, they're afraid. They think the world hates them. I mean, I just think it's so self-defeating.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things that is necessary to be successful is the belief in optimism. And my mother told me that can't and no should not be in my vocabulary, that I should be able to go out there and achieve the dreams and goals that I want to achieve and that are available to me. I think what has happened is that the extremes, frankly, of both political parties, the left and the right, have scared people. And the left has made it so that they've convinced people, especially African Americans, that Republicans are racist and don't have their best interest at heart. And that's just not true. The vast majority of Republicans, just like the vast majority of Democrats and independents, want to have fair treatment and a fair system for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse not to go out here and pursue your goals and your dreams. And don't let society implement or impose a sense of inferiority on you. And I think that's one of the things that's very dangerous right now in this country.
I do too. So about a week ago, 10 days ago, a friend of mine, he's a project manager in a real estate business, does a lot of commercial projects in New York and New Jersey. He called me up. He says him and a couple other buddies in the industry, they wanted to start working on their own projects, right? Everybody wants ownership today. They have the combined skill sets, but they had no idea about funding. Obviously, this is a common problem. We hear this with potential Black entrepreneurs in every single sector. What do you tell people when they ask you about this?
Well, first thing I tell them of some facts. There's about $70 trillion currently invested in venture capital and private equity. And those funds start businesses and back businesses. And the biggest investor in those funds are public employee pension systems. And the largest public employee pension systems in the country, the top two, for example, California and New York State, are run by Democrats. But yet they don't see fit to invest in businesses that are run by people of color or women. And out of that $70 trillion invested in private equity and venture capital, right now 1.3% of it is invested in firms run or owned by women and minorities combined. I mean, that's an astounding figure. So the first thing is that we cannot accept this unfair treatment, and we cannot give these liberal Democrats a pass anymore. Their paternalistic approach to dealing with African Americans is what has held us back and helped create this massive wealth divide. It is not Republicans that are not giving access to capital. In fact, one of the most progressive pension funds in the country is in Texas, and that's run by Republicans.
Yeah.
So the reality is that we've got to demand and expect fair access to capital. And we cannot put all our chips on the Democratic Party and then let them do nothing and get away with doing nothing for us. And I think that's a big issue in terms of access to opportunity. Right. And they set the tone. These public employee pension systems are the biggest investors in the United States, and they set a tone. And they rely on us to give them power in politics in the Democratic Party. But when it comes time to see us as people who have dreams just like everybody else, they don't want to deploy capital behind us.
Powerful stuff, and I should remind people that you are a Democrat. Hey, on your website, You say that the Peebles Corporation has developed high-profile assets guided by principles of affirmative development, and your goal is to help empower women and minorities close that wealth gap. So tell us about your program and maybe how other companies can look at that as a guide.
Well, we are a company that pursues excellence in the projects that we build, and we are a company that pursues the greatest talent. And so we create a wider lens. And affirmative development for us, it starts at how we hire people in our company, a wide lens looking for talent and untapped talent. And we believe that in order to rectify the failed policies of the past, that it's a business solution as much as it is a government solution. We cannot wait for these politicians to solve these problems. And so our company, and we encourage others to do the same thing, is that we aggressively search to provide opportunities for talented, capable, outstanding women and minority entrepreneurs and professionals. And we look to make sure that the economic opportunities that are generated by our projects are reflective of the population demographics of where we build them. And unfortunately, places like New York City just aren't.
Yeah. Well, Don, you are pushing so hard to make a difference. I know you toy with the idea of running for mayor. You may want to toy with the idea of running for president. I'm serious. You're one of the straightest shooters I know. You're one of the realest persons I know. And I appreciate you taking this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles, and thanks for having me on.
Sure.